While I was at the Music City Pen Turners gathering, I met Darrell of Darrell's Chittum Burls. There's all of his contact information if you need it. He sells burl pieces for making knife handles, pen blanks, boxes, etc. Pretty much anything you make out of wood and would like a nice piece of wood, Chittum might be something you're interested in. This is the piece I purchased. Just take a look at that. It's beautiful. It's got some bird's eye in it. It's a gorgeous piece of wood. It's 3 inches thick by about 2 inches wide by probably about 5 inches in length. And what we're going to do today is cut a piece off of this and make a really nice cigar pen. Now I chose antique copper. I thought it would look good with the burl. So we're going to go ahead and start preparing a blank to turn a cigar pen. In an effort to save a little bit of wood, I marked off a 5/8 inch section as opposed to 3/4, and we're just going to rip this on the bandsaw. Using the tubes that came with my cigar kit, I went ahead and marked my lower blank and my upper blank. Now, I like to do this because on the cigar kit, the longer tube is the lower blank, the shorter tube is the upper blank. They're both 10 millimeters, and if you're not careful, it's very easy to mix them up, and there's just no recovering from that. Let's go ahead and get this cut into 2 blanks. I found the center of my blank. I've chucked up my 10 millimeter bit. We're ready to drill. I am noticing some voids inside of this burl, so I'm hoping that it doesn't cause any issue while we're drilling. You'll probably notice that these blanks are a little wider than 5/8 of an inch. When I drilled the first set of blanks, I did not grab my brad point bit. I've got a brad point fish bit on the drill press right now. I grabbed my old 10 millimeter bit, and it was a standard bit, and it actually walked across the top of the blank, and I was unable to drill straight down the center. So I was so close to the sidewall that the bushing extended above, and I was not able to save the blanks. But these will work perfectly. I have my blanks positioned with the center mark pointing to the right, and that's because I'm left-handed. So I will take the tube, I've already sanded and scuffed them, plugged them with Play-Doh, I will lather them with the epoxy, and then I can pick the blank up, and I'm sure to insert them the proper way into the blank. So just thinking ahead, trying to avoid any issues. I've got the body blank on the lathe. This should be a fun turn. This is a really interesting piece of wood, and I'm looking forward to seeing how it looks with a finish on it installed into a kit. This blank looks really amazing. It's just beautiful. I'm going to get it onto the non-stick bushings, and then we'll start cleaning it up and applying a finish. Start by cleaning our blank up with a little denatured alcohol to get some of the dust off of it. I'm going to let it spin for a little bit and let the denatured alcohol evaporate, and then we'll start applying our CA finish. First coat of CA going on. Just take a look at how she looks. Wow. It's going to be a gorgeous blank. Just look how deep that color is. I'm going to shut the camera off, finish out my CA regiment, and I'll come and show you this blank right before we start the micro mesh process. This one may take a few extra coats because of the voids in the blank, you know, getting them filled and level, but it's going to be worth it. I just finished applying CA to the blank, and I can still see some areas, you know, like right there where there's kind of a little dip in the blank. I could continue to apply CA, but I'm not sure that's the right move. I think what I'm going to do is get it off of the nonstick bushings, clean the ends of the blank up, get it back on the turning bushings, then we're going to micro mesh it. That will help take the surface down a little bit. We'll clean it, and then we'll apply a couple of more coats of medium to build it up, and we'll micro mesh it again in hopes of finally leveling the surface. I just finished micro meshing, and the blank looks pretty darn good to me. I think I'm going to go ahead and get a little bit of Renaissance wax on it. We're going to buff it up and get busy turning the cap blank. My blanks turned out amazing. Just look at them. They're absolutely beautiful. This wood is gorgeous. Let's go ahead and get the blanks assembled into this awesome copper cigar pin kit. I think it's going to go really well with the color of the Chittum wood. I'm going to use my deburring tool and go ahead and deburr both of my blanks at both ends before we start assembly. There is the cap blank. This just makes it a little bit easier to get the parts started and assemble into our blanks. I'm going to assemble the cap first. I'll leave one of my bushings in there. That'll protect the back end. We're going to put this ring on top of this trim piece. It's going to get pressed into the lower end of our cap. I like to rotate the blank as I press it, and what that does is if the component starts to go in at a bit of an angle, as I'm rotating it, just lightly pressing and rotating, I can catch that before it becomes a problem and maybe blows out the side of my blank. For the other end of the cap blank, we're going to put the cap and clip in, and this blank is gorgeous. I hate to hide any of it. This burl wood is amazing, so we'll just grab the cap and place it here. Press it right into place. We can rotate the cap a little bit too. It had such a nice long tube on it that starting crooked and ending up crooked are probably not going to happen. Wow. Copper is going great with this. I love it. Let me set that out of the way so we don't damage it. Let's go ahead and assemble the nib into the lower end of our body blank. Once again, we're going to rotate. Just every little press will rotate, and we're pretty good there. Let's go ahead and press her into place. Really nice fit there. That's gorgeous. Now we've got the back piece. This is the threaded section that allows the transmission to thread into the kit. We're going to go ahead and use a little device. I've shown this in many videos. It's just a scrap piece of a resin blank. You could use wood. I drilled a hole just large enough to accommodate the threads, but small enough to where it catches on that collar and can push against the collar so that we don't take a chance of damaging the threads that we need for our transmission. That looks really nice. We've got a great fit at both ends of this blank. The spring is already assembled on the ink refill, so we're just going to drop it into the front of the pen. Let me go ahead and get rid of the little rubber ball that protects the ink. We'll place our transmission onto the blank, and we'll thread it right into place, giving it a nice little tight twist there. We'll test out our ink refill. Very nice. Now let's try to line our blank up a little bit. The pin is closed. Actually, there's not a whole lot of lining this up. I guess there is. If we look at it like this, well, the bottom has so many burl spots in it, I don't think it really matters. I think this pin would look good no matter how you assembled it. Take a look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? What a beautiful pin. I'd like to say thank you to all of you for joining me in the shop for the turning of this Chittum blank. Never turned Chittum before, so it was was fun to learn something new. If you're going to turn this, Darrell's Chittum Blanks is where I get the blanks from. I'll put all of his information in the video description. I will tell you, when you turn Chittum, because it is a burl, there are a lot of voids in the wood. And I ended up filling those voids with CA. And then of course you have to sand that down. So it's a little bit of extra work, but when you look at that blank, tell me where else you're going to find a blank that is that absolutely gorgeous. I love the copper kit with it. I think it was a wise choice. I couldn't be happier. This is a gorgeous pin, and I love it. I think it's beautiful. I want to thank you again for joining me in the shop for the turning of this pin. I want you to know that you are always welcome in my shop. Come back and see me again real soon, and have a great evening.